Record. Welcome to the DVMUG Zoom meeting, Tuesday, January 13, 2026. Today we have some news, some breaking news, just happened even today, and some videos, Q&A, and the social hour. So we'll first move to the news. There's the news for today. If you have a Logitech mouse or keyboard, it may be broken. There is a fix. You can't just upgrade the software because the software is broken, but you can go download the software and install it. So there will be a link in that article. If you have a Logitech mouse, you probably want to download the news PDF and go to that link and download that software so your Logitech mouse and keyboard settings where you do custom stuff will work again. Okay. We'll just we'll go to that first. So here's the link. If you have a Logitech mouse, you probably need to do this if you use their software. You don't have to use their software, but if you want to use the custom setup for keys and stuff and mouse buttons, and you have the Logi software, you got to go get this. Okay. Anybody have one of these that this happened to?
No, I do have that Logitech webcam though.
Nope. This applies to mouse and keyboards,
Thank you.
according to the article. Okay, next item. Apple confirms Chase will take over the Apple Card from Goldman Sachs. This will not happen for 24 months. Nothing will particularly change in the way you use the card. It will just work. If you're worried and want to know the details, there you can click on this link in the PDF that you download. Read the article, explains what the deal is. And you got plenty of time before this happens, and you don't have to do anything. It's just gonna be a different back end that runs the thing. Pretty much everything should stay the same, and there's a long time before it happens. Comments, questions? People have an Apple Card? Okay, next article. Anybody use Mac Updater app? It was really popular and a really great app, and I used it, and they shut down. They couldn't make money. They didn't want to they were the one-time purchase thing, and they didn't want to go to subscription, and they claimed that that's the only way they could survive to make money, and they couldn't sell it to somebody else. So basically, if you have it and you run it, it looks like it's working, but they stopped updating the database of the new stuff that needs to be updated. So it looks like you have no updates. So basically, it's there, but it doesn't do anything. So be known that if you're running it and it says there's no updates, that's not true as of the first of the year. There are alternatives, and you can read about it in the Tidbits article you download. One of them is called Latest. It's Latest, so it's hard to find, but it's free. It's open source, and it's not as good. There's nothing as good as this old Mac updater, but there's several other things. Some apps have this built in now. Several different apps, cleaner apps, have an updater built in, and none of them are as good. But the Latest is free. I've been using that in parallel for a while because I knew this was coming, and it works, and it's free, and it's worth having. So, anybody have Mac Updater? I know Rick paid for it.
My Mac updater says it updated about 3 days ago.
Okay.
The announcement was that the database would be working, I think, through the end of January, and then it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, if you had updates that needed to be done in there before, they will still show, but I ran it today and it didn't show an update, and I went and ran it latest, and it runs, but it doesn't they don't have a date. I think they shut it down the first of the year, but it may be the end of the month, but it's going away if it hasn't gone away already. Okay. Next. This broke today. This is new Apple Creator Studio. This means all this more probably stuff that nobody here uses. Final Cut, Logic, Compressor, Pixelmeter Pro is now like an Adobe thing. You can still buy them separately, but you can subscribe to the whole bunch for like $12.95 a month for all of them. And you can share them with your family, with, you know, the 6 other people in your family. So that's actually a pretty good deal. That's why they bought Pixelmeter, so they'd have a Photoshop competitor. And Pixelmeter Pro is also now coming to the iPad. This all happens the end of this month. Also, in this news from Apple is Pages, Keynote, Numbers, and the Freeform app will be going Pro. There will be all the same stuff you have now for free, but the new features in the future, which will probably be AI stuff or something, you will only get those if you subscribe to this Creator Studio bundle. So some people are not happy about that. So, and it's unclear about what those features will be. It's kind of up in the air. The Apple didn't really explain what those are going to be.
Cost?
Content, probably, templates, clip art, but maybe AI features, you know, that integrate with Final Cut to Numbers and whatever is going to be more integrated. Like, I don't know. It's unknown at this point what that's going to be.
Any idea about the cost?
Click on the download the PDF and click on it. I think it's $12.95 a month.
Ouch.
Well, that's for these programs are all these programs together would cost you like well over $1,000. It's like Adobe. It's a deal if you use this stuff.
LibreOffice is calling.
It doesn't mean that the Pages, Numbers, and Keynote aren't going to have, excuse me, everything that they have now and into the future be upgraded for new Mac OS versions and such. It's just they're going to add more stuff to them that you're not going to get without the subscription. People, they were speculating this morning on Mac Break that they didn't say yet, but maybe there'll be a subscription just for Pages, Numbers, and Keynote for the extra stuff for, you know, a couple bucks a month instead of $12.95 a month. Yet to be seen. They didn't say that in the news release.
So, John, people that buy new devices, in other words, MacBooks or Airs, what will that come with? The
Changes
Apple
nothing.
Creator Studio?
If you don't use these other programs, it means nothing to you except it'll work. You'll get all everything will still work, and you won't get this new stuff. You'll still be able to download it and use it, and it comes with new stuff and all that stuff. If you buy a new computer or iPad, supposedly you get 3 months of trial of this bundle for free. So I think you get
$10 a month Photoshop is looking better and better.
Well,
So is that what was it that they bought from Europe?
Pixelmeter.
Pixelmator and still available at standalone?
Yes, all the apps are still available for purchase standalone. I think they may be even available for subscription per each one for like $3 a month or something. Read the article if you're interested. I think that's true. Each one could be by the month. If you have a project and you want to do it, subscribe for a month, do your project, and then unsubscribe. You know, that's a reasonable thing to do. Rather than I mean, this whole package compares to the Adobe's package, which costs like, $100 a month. So we'll see. Pixelmeter Pro is coming to the iPad. That's part of that last thing, but that'll be Pixelmeter. Anybody here use Pixelmeter? Everybody buy Pixelmeter? It was like it's like $60 to buy or something. It's a good program. Videos. These are the videos we're gonna have. And we can start with the first one. 10 Mac file open dialog tips from Gary. Let's go for it.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Here are some tips for using the open file dialogues on your Mac. So there are many ways to open files on a Mac. For instance, you can just double click the file in the Finder. It will launch the app that goes with the file and show you the document. But often we just open files using the File Open dialog in an app. For instance, here I am in Pages, and if I go to File Open or just Command O, this is called the Open File dialog. It's a dialog. It's asking you for something, and then you're communicating back to it what you want. In this case, which file would you like to open, and then you select a file. The window looks a lot like a Finder window, prompting a lot of people to actually just call this the Finder, but it's actually an open file dialog. I'm in Pages here, not Finder. But a lot of the functionality is the same, starting with the left sidebar. Notice here in the left sidebar, you've got Recent, you've got Favorites, you've got Locations, all the things that you see if you go to the Finder and open up a new Finder window. You'll see similar items here in the left sidebar. In fact, the favorite section of the left sidebar is something you can customize, and that will be reflected here in the open dialog. Notice it's the same thing. So for instance, if I often want to use File Open in Pages to open something in this folder here, I can add it to the left sidebar under Favorites, like that. And then I'll see that same folder here in an open dialog. So now I can simply click on that folder there under Favorites in the open dialog to go to it. It's the quickest way to get to the folders that have the files that you want. And don't be afraid to change it often. If you're working a lot this week with a particular folder, add it to Favorites. It'll be available to you in the left sidebar of the Finder and in open, save, and export dialogues as well. You also have other Finder functionality, like for instance, this display here showing you which folder you're in. That's functional. You can click on it and then you can go up levels. So I can go up one level to the Documents folder and up another level to iCloud Drive. So you can see not only the full path, but jump to any of those. So I can jump to Documents there. There's a keyboard shortcut for this in the Finder. That's Command Up, and it works here as well. So I'll use Command and the up arrow, and you can see I go up one level. Now, this menu also provides a list of recent places. So these are folders you've recently accessed. So this could be a really useful way to get to a file you want, not necessarily looking in Recent here, which shows you a list of all files that you've recently accessed. You would sort them by date modified, and maybe that could be useful. But sometimes it's more useful to actually look at Locations and jump right to a specific folder here that you recently used to find the file you want. It's particularly useful when you can't remember the name of the file you want, but you know you were working with it recently and you'll probably recognize the folder name. Now you can also search here. You've got a little search box, or you can just use Command F to jump right to it and start typing. And here you can search for the name of a file. And here you can select file name or content to decide how you want to search. Also at the top, it'll show you search, and it'll show you it's only looking in the folder you are currently in and all the subfolders under it. In this case, it doesn't turn up anything. So I can click this Mac to have it search my entire Mac for things that match this. And then once you find what you want, you can select it, and notice you'll see a path under here telling you where it is. That can help you confirm that it's the right file, but you can also just click on the folder there like that to jump right into the folder. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. You can use the open file dialog completely with the keyboard. So here in Pages, I'll just do Command O to open. Now, if I use the down arrow key, it's immediately going to go to the first file, and I can continue to use the down arrow key to go down, up arrow key to go up. I can even press a letter on the keyboard to jump to the first file with that letter. That works particularly well if you're in list view here. You can see I've got list view, not icon view selected, and I have everything sorted by name. So now if I just click D, it'll jump down to the first file starting with that name. But you can even type more than that. For instance, here I've got several folders starting with D. If I wanted to get to this folder, I could type DE, and you can see I get to it. Now with a folder selected, I can press return, and it will dive down into that folder. And remember, I can use Command up arrow to go back up. When I find a file I want, I could simply press return, and it will open it. I could also use Command period to cancel, or the escape key to cancel the open dialog. Now let's say you're in an app like Pages here, and you use Command O to bring up the open dialog. And you're not where you want to be, but you can see where you want to be in a Finder window. Like for instance, this folder right here. You can drag and drop a folder right to the open dialog. It'll jump to that location. You could do the same thing with a file. So for instance, I could look in this folder here, and there is a file. I can drag and drop that into the open dialog. It jumps to that folder with that file selected. Now when you're in the Finder, you may know that there's a bunch of keyboard shortcuts associated with specific folders. If you look in the Go menu, you can see them. The desktop is Shift-Command-D. Documents is Shift-Command-O. The Downloads folder is Option-Command-L. If you're used to using these in the Finder, note that you can use them in open dialogs as well. So here I am in this open dialog. If I use Shift-Command-D, I jump to the desktop. Shift-Command-O, I jump to Documents, and Option-Command-L, and I jump to Downloads. Another way to navigate around in the Finder is to use Go and then go to Folder, or Shift-Command-G. And then you can type something here, either a full path or a partial path, and it will look under Recents to find the folder you mean. So I can start typing something like that, and you can see it selected there, and then hit Return, and I go to that folder in the Finder. Well, guess what? That works in open dialogs as well. Shift-Command-G brings up that same thing, and then I could type something like that and jump to that location. Now, I quickly mentioned before, you can go to icon, list, or column view here. Even the keyboard shortcuts that are in the Finder work for this. Command-1 for icon view, Command-2 for list view, Command-3 for column view. And when in list view, you also can sort by any of these columns. So I could click on date modified to sort by date modified, click again, and it reverses the sort order. And if I control click, right click, or two finger click anywhere in these column headings, I can add additional columns as well. And it will remember them for the next time I use this open dialog in this app. Now, if you're not sure which file you want, you may want to preview the file first. You don't have to go to the Finder to do that. You can do it right here in the open dialog because Quick Look works. You can use the space bar and it will show you a preview of the file selected. You can even leave the Quick Look window open. Just move it to the side there. Select another file and it will preview that file for you. So for instance, here in an image editing app, I can go to File, Open, and if I can't remember which is the one I want, I can select one, hit the space bar, and then I'm just going to use down arrow to go through each one here. When I find the image I want, I can press space bar again, and I can see behind Quick Look what it was I selected. And here's a couple bonus ones. If you want to switch from the open dialog to the Finder, say there's something else that you want to do in the same folder, with any file selected, you can just do Command R or Control click, right click, or two finger click to bring up the context menu and select Show in Finder. Now it opens a Finder window right to that file. This works in search as well. So in the open dialog, I can search for something. And then when I find something that I want, then maybe it's not even a document for this app, I can select it here and then do Command R, and it will open up that folder in the Finder with that file selected. Note you can also do a lot of other things in the context menu. For instance, you can rename the file right here in the open dialog without even opening the file or going to the Finder. You can also delete the file. And a particularly useful one might be to duplicate it. So you're about to open a file and you decide you don't want to mess with the original. You can duplicate it right here. You get a new copy of it You can, at that point, rename it with the context menu in rename, or just have that file selected and return to open the copy that you made. So I hope you found some of these tips useful. Thanks for watching. Want to know about
Comments, questions?
Not right now.
It's interesting that he didn't create, there aren't any new commands. He's still using just standard commands, which is gratefully received.
Yeah, anything you know how to do in the Finder works. And I see people all the time, they go to open something and they never change the window and they look around and where is my stuff that you can navigate all over inside of there. And also when you save, so I see some people make a document and just hit save. They don't pay attention to what folder they're in or what name it is, and then they go, where'd my file go? You got to pay attention. You get to choose where it goes and what its name is. Okay, next. Ellen says, iPhone contact shortcuts, save and share fast.
Hi everyone, it's Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS. Today we're going to learn 2 super useful tips: how to save phone numbers you receive in an email or even your Messages app directly into your contacts, and then how to share your contacts with family and friends without typing manually. These are great iPhone tips for staying connected. Let's get started. Have you ever opened an email or message with a phone number and wished your iPhone could just save it for you? Well, it can. Here's how. So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll want to open the Mail app. So if you need to locate it, you can just pull down on the screen, type Mail into the search bar. You'll see the Mail app. Go ahead and open it. Locate the email that has the phone number that you want to transfer to your contacts. Once you do that, you're going to want to press and hold on the phone number. Don't just tap it, press and hold on it. Once you do that, you'll see that a menu pops up, and on the menu, you're going to choose Add to Contacts. The contact information will pop up, and now you need to choose whether you want to create a new contact or add to an existing contact. If I choose Create a New Contact, you'll see that immediately the phone number is added in, and then you can add the other information that you need to, and when you're finished, hit the check mark in the upper right corner. I'm going to X out of there for now, and I'll say discard changes. If you want to add it to an existing contact, go ahead and press and hold on it. Choose Add to Contacts. Once you do that, add to an existing contact, and then choose the contact that you want to add it to. So if I choose John, once I do, you'll see that that number has been added. I can tap on the check mark, and now that contact information has been added to an existing contact. And just like that, you don't have to remember or retype those numbers anymore. Now that you've added someone to your iPhone contacts, let's talk about sharing that contact information with someone else. You can choose to share your own contact card or someone else's without typing it all out again. Here's the classic way to share a contact. You'll want to open the Contacts app. So again, I have already typed it into the search bar. So I'll open the Contacts app. And there's a couple of different ways that you can share the contact. If I open the contact, I can scroll down and you'll see an option to share contact. Another method you can choose is pushing and holding on the contact and then choosing share, and the option will pop up. Once the option is available to you, you can see that you can check off everything that you want to send in the contact information, or if there's something that you don't want to send, you can uncheck that. I'll go ahead and uncheck the birth date, and then I'll tap the check mark in the upper right corner. And once I do that, you'll see the options become available to how I want to share it. I can choose AirDrop, Messages, or Mail. For this video, I'm going to just choose Messages right now, and you'll see that the contact information has been placed into the message box. Type in the individual you want to send it to, and then hit the send icon in the lower right corner. If I choose to share that contact information by mail, I can choose Mail. A new email will pop up. It'll add the contact information, and I can put in who I want to send it to and tap on the send icon in the upper right corner. So it's very easy to go ahead and share somebody's contact information. Now for a really cool iPhone feature, it's called Name Drop. It's like a digital business card, and what you need to do is push your iPhone or hold your iPhone to the top of another iPhone. So what you're seeing here is I have two iPhones on my desk. I'm just going to push my one iPhone closer to the other. And in a second, you're going to see the contact information pop up. And here then, I can choose whether to just share my info or receive info only. So you can share information with the other individual. And this is perfect when you're with someone in person and want to exchange info quickly without typing. Here are a couple of tips and reminders. If you receive contact information in a message, all you have to do is tap on that contact and choose whether or not to share the contact, create a new contact, or add to an existing contact. So in this case, if somebody shares their information with you and you don't have it, you would choose create a new contact, and the information begins to fill in, and you can add the information that you need. You want to make sure that your contacts are synced with iCloud so that all of your devices get updated. So to check that, open the Settings app, locate and open the Settings app, choose your name at the top, tap on iCloud, and then where it says Save to iCloud, choose See All. Scroll down and just make sure that your contacts are turned on so that it's all syncing with iCloud and will be transferred to all your devices. Now, the last feature I showed you, Name Drop, it works best if you have both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on because it uses the same tech as AirDrop does. Let's do a quick recap. Press and hold a phone number in Mail or Messages to save it to the Contacts app. You can also use that method to share your contacts from the Contacts app. We also want to use Name Drop to swap a contact card info with someone nearby. These simple tools can make staying in touch so much easier on your iPhone. If you learned something new today, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more iPhone tips. Let me know in the comments who's the first person you're going to share contact info using Name Drop. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Comments, question. Anybody?
Yeah, well, name drop always seemed. We used to do at the bar. We'd always do airdrop. Someone wants to send me their contact. I'd say just send it via AirDrop, but now with AirDrop limiting how long you can put open to everybody, that's a lot easier just to go up in here. Let me just touch phones with you.
A bump phone, you stick them together for a little bit, it just automatically does it.
Yeah, it just automatically does that.
Automatically asks you if you want to do it.
Yeah. Which is good because when it first came out, everybody was hyper about, oh my God, they can steal your info. No, you have to get permission.
Well, you also get to choose. There's little check
Exactly.
boxes of what you allow. You can only just your name and your phone number or your whatever you want.
Exactly. And that's good because we used to do, you put a lot of stuff in your contact because these people can have my email address. These people don't get my email address. These people get that. Instead of having 4 or 5 different contacts, just do one and check what you want. So when they did that, that was a good deal.
Yikes, what happened to my keynote? Do you still see my keynote?
Nope.
Nope.
That's what I was afraid of. What happened?
Don't know.
I'm gonna try to get it back. There you go. Now you see it?
Yep.
Okay, but I lost my. Ugh. I lost my. Whatever, we'll just go on. Okay, next video. You may be using colors in Apple Calendar app wrong.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you may be using colors in the Calendar app wrong. So I often get questions or see comments from people about colors in the Calendar app on the Mac, iPhone, or iPad. And these questions seem to indicate that a lot of people don't understand what colors mean in the Calendar app. So for instance, here I am in the Calendar app, and you can notice a variety of different events on my calendar, and they're using a variety of different colors. There's some red, there's some green, there's an orange, there's some blue. It might seem that you have the ability to color code events, so you can decide that some events deserve to be red while others deserve to be green, and just set the color for each event as you like. But that's not what these colors are about. If you look in the left sidebar here, you'll see your accounts and you'll see the calendars under those accounts. If you don't see the left sidebar, click this button here at the top and it should appear. The sidebar shows you accounts, in this case, iCloud, Gmail, and other, which are mostly subscription calendars. So if you have just one account, you may just see iCloud here, for instance. If you have multiple accounts, you may see iCloud, Gmail, and other services. If you go to Calendar Settings and then go to Accounts here, you'll see all of the potential accounts. So these are internet accounts that you've set up in System Settings, and you could decide to enable or disable this account in Calendar. Just because you're using, say, Gmail on the Mail app doesn't mean you have to use Gmail for calendars. You can simply turn it off, and you could see it's removed from the left sidebar here. This is in fact how I use it. I do use Gmail for one of my email accounts, but I don't want it used at all in Calendar. So I've got Gmail disabled here in Calendar. But you may, for instance, have Google as your calendar for work, so you may want it enabled. And then you may use iCloud for other calendars like your personal and family calendars. Now, for each account, you could also have multiple calendars. So a calendar is like a database of events. Any single event would be in a calendar, which is inside of an account. So in this case, under iCloud, I have 3 calendars: work, personal, and family. Under Gmail or Google, I've got 1, and that's also called personal. Others may have more or fewer calendars in each account. But the important thing to know is you probably have multiple calendars, which is normal, and each calendar has a color assigned to it. In this case, red for work, green for personal, orange for family, and then there's blue for the personal calendar under Google. And the subscription calendars, like for instance, US holidays here, this one is a different shade of blue. So to illustrate this, imagine you've got 2 accounts connected to your calendar, iCloud and Google, and they're also calendars under subscriptions. You can see here that you've got 3 calendars under iCloud, 2 under Google, and 1 additional subscription calendar, the standard US holidays calendar. If the color for the personal calendar in your iCloud account is set to red, then all of the events for that personal calendar will appear with the red color when you look at them in the calendar app. Each calendar has its own color, and you'll see that color for every event. So these two red colored events, meeting and project due, they are red because they are simply in the work calendar under iCloud. The two green ones here, family dinner and doctor, those are green because they are in the personal calendar in iCloud. And this one here for a lunch appointment, that's blue because it's in the personal calendar under Gmail. And you may be wondering what's different about this orange event here. It's orange, so it indicates that it's in the family calendar under iCloud. But why is the entire title of the event shaded rather than just a simple line of color to the left? Well, these events here all have a specific start and end time. This is from 7 to 8 p.m. Whereas this event here is an all-day event. And you can see all day has been checked here. So if this were a vacation and it were scheduled over 2 days, you could see how this becomes a line that stretches between dates. And the longer you make it, the longer the line gets, which makes sense. Whereas these events with the single bit of color to the left of the title, they are just a portion of that day. If you switch to, say, week view here, you notice the same concept applies here. You'll see the shading goes from the beginning to the end. So just like it does here when you're looking at day view, and the shading will go between days. On the week view, when you actually have time on the vertical axis, the shading will show you the length of the event. So if I were to make this event longer, say this, you could see how the shading continues there, just as it does in this monthly calendar if this event were to extend across multiple days. So what a lot of people are getting wrong is using color on a per event basis instead of realizing that it's indicating which calendar it's in. So for instance, somebody may look at this event right here and then decide, oh, they want this to be green. So they see the color here, they click here and they change it to green. But what they've actually done is they've moved it from the work calendar to the personal calendar. So when you change the color, you're actually moving the event from one event database, one calendar, to another event database, another calendar. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. So what about if you want to have specific colors for specific events without moving them to a different calendar? Well, you have an interesting option, and that is to simply change the title to include a color in there. Now, you can't color the text. That's not a property of the title here, but you can include emoji characters. So you can either use the FN or glow key and E to bring up the emoji in Special Character Viewer, or the older keyboard shortcut Control, Command, and Space. And sometimes that brings up some suggestions, and you have to use it a second time to actually bring up all of the different emoji characters. And you can browse through here, and of course, the emoji characters are filled with color. So you could decide to use a specific emoji character here to represent some kind of event. So for instance, you may want to use something like one of these food items here to represent a dinner meeting. So you can use this, and you can see how it adds a little splash of color. Let's put it at the beginning there like that and apply. And you can see now I've got a little bit of color here in the title of the event. And maybe you can reuse your favorite emoji characters to represent different kinds of things. Like whenever a meeting involves a meal, you can always use the same emoji character. But you could also use simple color blocks and circles. So I can search here simply for a color, like for instance, green. And you could see there are a lot of green emoji characters, and there are a few that are basically just about the color. There's the green heart here, but there's also a green square and there's a green circle. So if you use one of these like that, then you could see how this adds a color there that even overpowers the calendar color. So you could use this green dot to represent something. It's easy actually to even copy and paste it from this event to, say, another event like this, and then have that same color, even though these two events are in different calendars. And you can even use multiple ones of these. You don't have to stick with just one if you really want the color to stand out. And if you don't really care about the color of the individual calendar, you could certainly change it. You can control click, right click, or two finger click on the calendar here. And notice you can choose one of the 7 standard colors. And you could simply make all of your calendars the same color here so that the color doesn't actually represent anything. You could also choose custom color here and then choose from any of the color picker options here. And if you choose white, notice how you just get this little gray line and black text. If you choose black, you get a black line and black text. So it's fairly devoid of color and then ready for you to add your own color emoji to things. Although I would recommend against assigning the same color to each of your calendars because it makes it hard to differentiate things. And then you could accidentally assign, say, a personal event to your work calendar or vice versa. It's better to have them all have their own color there and then use emoji characters if you want more color in the title. And also note that you could do this with subscribed calendars as well. So for instance, I've hidden my calendars under other, but if I turn on US holidays, I can change the color for US holidays to something else or assign a custom color to it. And then don't be afraid to switch these on or off and also switch on or off your other calendars to filter what you're seeing there depending upon what you're looking for at the moment. And when creating a new event, remember, if you select the calendar here on the left and then use the plus button or just double click in here, then it will use that calendar for the new event. So while you can change it afterwards, it helps if your first step is to select the correct calendar and then create the event. So I hope this helps some of you who may have been confused about what the colors in the calendar apps mean. Thanks for watching.
Can't see you guys. I lost the video. You thumbnails. Anybody? I can't see you guys anymore. I lost you. So.
Well, that was some things I didn't know.
Yeah, I see people use the calendars all wrong all the time. They make calendars in Gmail and Yahoo and Comcast and Apple, and they're all over the place in different services, and they don't even realize that.
Yeah.
Or they make multiple calendars in just icon in the Apple calendar, and they don't even realize they're untitled. They don't really mean anything to them. It's really a way to organize your stuff and turn them off. I have a bunch of calendars. Mostly I don't view them, but then when I want to see what's going on in that calendar, I click it and turn it on. Most everything that's important just stays in my main calendar.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I just use one color because whether it's for work or pleasure or something, I'm still busy. So
Yeah.
I've never gotten the work personal differentiation or whatever.
Well, I do like subscriptions. Like I have the 49er calendar and the Warrior calendar. They play 3 times a week. I don't want to see all that for the rest of the year. I turn it on for the week, and then you can drag it from one calendar to the other. It will make a copy of it, so I can just put this week's and then turn it back off, so I don't have to clutter the rest of the month with the game.
Well, that makes sense. That
Yeah,
makes
so
a
you
lot
don't
of
want to
sense.
see what's coming up this week. You don't have to see the rest of the year when it's like 3 times a week. You don't
Yeah.
need to see that a month away.
Like I said, that makes a lot of sense.
Now I'm trying to figure out why you would have multiplicity of calendars. I mean,
Well, so you can do stuff like
Google,
that.
Yahoo, Apple. I mean,
Well, every
what's the point?
service has calendars. Some people use Gmail and Gmail calendars for some reason.
Go
And
ahead.
so, and like the DVMUG calendar is in Gmail, and that's what you subscribe to. If you go to the webpage and subscribe, it's a Google calendar, and it's a subscription. So you can subscribe to all kinds of things. Sporting, all the team, any team has a calendar you can subscribe to, so you can see when then they update that automatically when it changes. So you don't have to
A lot of people share their calendars as well. And so if you
sharing
got,
between
you
family
take
is
one
what,
and share it with your wife, and the other one you
share
use
what's
with
common,
yourself.
absolutely.
For me, I was just if I had somebody really close to me, I'd invite them to the event so they know that I'm busy that day or something.
Right. There's no
But
right one.
I can see where you're saying not everybody needs to know that I'm going to lunch with so and so.
Right. So you
Yeah.
can put a family calendar, so everybody who's going to Christmas or birthdays or whatever, they can all see that, and you can update it. You can add it, and everybody else sees it. And it's for just the stuff that you need to share. They don't need to know
Yeah.
when your boot camp meeting is, unless they need to know you're busy that day.
Yeah.
I got somebody.
Can we move on?
Yes, we can. If I can get this thing to work right. I can't see you guys when I'm in Keynote for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Okay, here we go. This is a really short one from Apple. How to customize camera control button on the iPhone.
Well, I lost you.
Camera control lets you quickly open your iPhone camera to take photos and videos. Here's how to customize it on supported iPhone models starting at iOS 26. In Settings, scroll down, tap Camera, then tap Camera Control. By default, the camera app opens with a single click of camera control, but you can change the number of clicks required to open camera by choosing double click instead. To use camera control to access common camera settings like zoom and depth, tap to turn on camera adjustments. To personalize your camera control gestures and the list of settings that will show as an overlay in the camera app, tap Customize. You can choose to access the settings overlay with a light press, a swipe, or both. You can also rearrange the items in the settings overlay. Let's drag the handle to move cameras to the top. Now it's the first option in the overlay. To hide one of the camera control settings in the overlay, just tap the check mark next to the menu item. Now, click the camera control on the side of your iPhone to open the camera app and check out our settings in action. Time to take some photos. And that's how to customize camera control for a camera experience that's uniquely yours.
For those of you that have the camera control button, I don't.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
That only applies if you have that button.
Oh,
It's only on the newer, I think, Pro models, right? Okay. Moving on. This is from Gary's take on AI and tech help.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's talk about using AI for tech help. So there are a lot of different ways to get tech help. Besides official sources like going through Apple support, there are lots of online forums. You can ask friends and family, and you can also now use AI. If you ask large language model AI like ChatGPT or Google Gemini questions about tech, you get answers right away, and often they're right, but sometimes not. So it's important to understand how AI can still get things wrong, at least for now. So I'd say most of the time when you ask something like ChatGPT how to do something on, say, your Mac, you'll get a good answer, but not all the time. And it's important to realize that. For instance, here's an example where I asked ChatGPT about how to get rid of the margin that's around Windows when you do things like, say, fill the screen. The correct answer is that there's a setting for that in System Settings, Desktop, and Dock. But ChatGPT didn't seem to know about that setting. It suggests other workarounds, but not simply just going to that setting and switching it. Now here's another example where ChatGPT seemed to know about the subject being asked, but didn't know the right solution. This is about adding things like duration and dimensions as columns in list view in the Finder on the Mac. And it seemed to know that you could do that, but it didn't know how to do it. Here it suggests simply having a folder filled with only videos or only audio to be able to get this. But the solution is in fact to rename the folder something like movies or music to get duration and pictures to get dimensions. But ChatGPT just didn't seem to know that. Even when prompted further, it still didn't know the correct answer, even though there are plenty of online sources that talk about this, including my own videos. Matter of fact, it goes and invents an entire idea of like a movies or music template or something like that. It's really much simpler than that and pretty easy once you know how. But someone trying to do this just using ChatGPT to guide them won't get there. Now remember, all these large language model AIs are all based on information that's out there. So things people have written, videos people have made, things like that. So it's just drawing on a body of knowledge that's already there. And sometimes that body of knowledge is old. You get the same thing when you search the web for a solution, and maybe you get a post from 3 years ago about it that doesn't know about something new. AI falls into that same trap, sometimes taking the old information and not looking for anything newer. So for instance, here I'm asking about adding more things to Control Center. And the great new feature of macOS Tahoe is the ability to have multiple control centers. But there's so much knowledge from before Tahoe where you can't do that the answer you get from ChatGPT is inadequate. It just doesn't mention you can just add another control center. This happens all the time, giving you advice about older versions of macOS or iOS, or if you're a programmer, older versions of Swift or PHP or whatever it is you're using. Now, probably the biggest problem is that sometimes large language model AI will make stuff up. People call this hallucinating. And you could see it all the time in tech questions. So for instance, here I'm asking for some terminal commands, some things I can use in the terminal to, say, change how the desktop looks. And there are some commands, and when asked this, ChatGPT did actually return some useful things. But if you scroll through here, you can quickly come to something that's just made up. It doesn't actually exist. If you search for this FX enable snap to grid, it's not there. Nobody talks about it online. Somehow ChatGPT decided, well, it would be neat if something like this existed, or maybe it just does, and this might be what it's called, and it just presents it as fact. But if you try it, you'd be really confused to see that doesn't work at all. Now, I don't want to pick only on ChatGPT, so I've tried some others as well. So here's Claude, and I've asked Claude about icons in the dock, like notice that the calendar shows the current date. What else can do that? And it gives some correct answers, like for instance, Activity Monitor. It will actually show things in the icon in the dock. You got that right. But then things like FaceTime and Time Machine don't actually do anything special with the icon in the dock, yet it throws them in the list here anyway. Now, large language model AIs don't like it when there's simply no answer. If you ask it a question, you'll almost never get a, nope, you can't do that, and that's it, which is what somebody like me would tell you. So for instance, here I'm asking a common question about how do you get the width of a table in the Notes app to be something smaller, right? It seems that when you have a lot of columns, it just fills from left to right in the note. Well, of course, the answer is you can't do anything about that. There are no controls for that. But asking Google Gemini about it, it makes up an entire menu item, View Note Body Width, and setting it from standard to full width. That doesn't exist. That's not there. It doesn't like the fact that the answer to this is you simply can't do that, so it makes something up. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. And one last problem I want to talk about is that AI likes to agree with you, sometimes to the point of giving wrong information. So for instance, look how this question is worded. It's fairly typical for somebody to ask something like this. There is no way on a Mac to put the time in the dock. Where else on the screen can I see the time? Now, it's pretty common to make a statement like that as part of your question. And somebody that knows what they're doing will say, well, wait a minute, actually, you can do that. But here, ChatGPT takes that as a statement of fact and neglects to tell you that that's wrong. And the obvious solution is to simply say, oh, you can do what you said you can't do. So here it's given me a bunch of other options, ways to see the time, never telling me that you can actually put the clock app in the dock and the icon will actually show you the time. And when I actually called ChatGPT out on this, notice how it gave a very human response, reminding us that what large language models do is imitate human responses. They're not fact machines. They're basically response machines. So when I said you can put the time in the dock, just put the clock app icon there. It says correct. Putting the clock app in the dock does show the current time. And then it says, well, there's clarifications and what this really means. And the accurate statement is that macOS does not let you place the menu bar clock in the dock. But if you go back to my original question, that's not what I'm asking at all. I never even mentioned the menu bar in the original question. Now, all those flaws also exist with human tech help. Humans can get things wrong. They sometimes make things up when they don't know. They don't like to just give no answer, or you can't do that. So they'll look for things that maybe don't quite fit, and they'll sometimes agree with your assumptions, thus making it harder to find an answer. So it's not like these flaws are new. We've always had these problems in getting tech help. But there are some ways where AI help is actually better than human help. Like, for instance, you get an instant response when you ask a question. If you post something online, it could be hours or days before you get the first response, and maybe longer before you get a correct one. At least with AI, if it gives you the wrong answer and you try it out and find out it doesn't work, you only wasted a few minutes instead of waiting until tomorrow to get the wrong answer. Also, with AI, even when it gets it wrong, at least it's usually polite. A lot of times in online forums, you can find people are just downright rude. And with human tech help, there's probably not going to be any improvement in the future. Whereas with AI tech help, I think a lot of these problems will eventually be addressed, and we'll find a higher percentage of our questions get answered and answered correctly in the future. But there is one big problem that looms out there, and that's that AI gets its information from what people like me post online. So once AI starts answering all the questions and people just go to AI for the answers, well, then where will all the new material come from? When macOS 28 or 29 comes out, how many new articles will be posted online about it for AI to be trained on if everybody who posts such articles can't really do it, if it's not a viable business model anymore? It's probably going to be that the future internet is going to be kind of a hybrid. Like, you may actually go to an encyclopedia or a database for an answer to a specific question, but you may get a book on a subject if you just want to get general knowledge about it. Maybe the same thing for tech help. People like me may still keep posting how-to videos, lists of tips and advice and things like that, while AI takes over the direct question answer part of it. But until AI tech help gets better, keep in mind, sometimes you could be wrong. Sometimes it can give you an incomplete answer, or sometimes it simply won't know, but won't admit that. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Comments, questions? I can't see you guys. So
Where's Kenji? I'm sure he'd have a comment about that.
I'm sure he would.
I bet
You
he
know,
would.
Jan's got a question.
Well, I was just going to say, it seems odd, though, that people that programmed the AI programs didn't say, don't guess, wait till you have real facts to show something. But they must have said, well, if you don't know, guess. I don't know.
I think they were going for best guess. I think part of the problem
Yeah.
is like he said, the question is worded stupid. I don't know what else to tell you. You can't do this. How can you do it? Well, okay, well, I'm going to agree with you. You can't do it, and we'll move on. Everybody's happy.
No, but that's not the answer, though. You can't be agreeing with somebody if you're asking a question.
Well, sure,
If
but it's also
anything, they would need to get more clearer about what the question is about.
ideally, yeah. I mean, if you asked me a question like that, I'd say, let's take apart that word salad and what do you really want to know? Oh, okay, you want to know if there's a way to do that. Don't tell me there's not, then ask me how to do it. You know,
Yeah,
It's just making everything more difficult. I
yeah.
mean, we're asking a lot of something that's not human and doesn't deal in nuance.
He's got a point. It only gets his information from stuff that somebody else said. Now,
Exactly.
there is a real famous saying in computers, garbage in,
And
garbage
garbage
out.
out. Yep.
So like you said, all this old stuff, they're going back and they're grabbing stuff that's old that doesn't apply anymore.
Okay. Got one more, I think.
Jesus. Why so long?
Fix duplicate contacts on the iPhone.
Hi everyone, if we haven't met, I'm Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS. In my last video, I showed you how to save phone numbers and share contacts on your iPhone. Today, we're going to fix what often happens after that: duplicate contacts, missing names, and confusing contact photos. If your contacts list feels messy or overwhelming, this video is for you. Contacts don't get messy because you're doing something wrong. It usually happens because you save the same person more than once, someone shares their contact info with you, you add a phone number from an email, or iCloud syncs contacts from more than one account. The good news, your iPhone now has the tools that make cleanup much easier. Let's start with duplicates. The first thing you'll need to do is open the Contacts app. So I'm in the app library area. I'll tap where it says app library and I'll search for contacts. Once I locate contacts, I'll click on it to open. And what you'll want to do is scroll to the top of your contact list. Look for duplicates found. If your iPhone sees duplicates, you'll see a message that says the number and how many duplicates were found. At this point, we're going to go ahead and tap on View Duplicates. Once I do them, you'll see all of my duplicates that appear, and I can review them one by one, or I can tap Merge All if I'm comfortable with that. So if you're comfortable, when you see the duplicates that appear, go ahead and tap on Merge All. If not, go into a duplicate. I'll go ahead and do that. Once I do, I can say go ahead and merge that duplicate. Your iPhone will combine phone numbers, emails, and information so nothing important is lost. You'll confirm it. I'll say merge. And now that particular contact has been merged with the information that is already on my phone. This is safe to do, and it's one of the easiest ways to clean up your contacts. Another common issue I hear about is the same photo showing up for two different people. Here's how to fix that. Locate the contact that you want to change. So in this case, I'm just going to open the Apple contact. Once you do, you want to tap Edit in the upper right corner, and then tap Edit or the photo that's located there. Once you do that, now you have the option to choose a new photo. Each contact has its own photo, so once you fix it here, the confusion should go away. Now let's make sure your contacts stay clean going forward. We're going to want to open the Settings app, tap your name at the top. Now tap on iCloud, and we're going to want to tap on See All next to Save to iCloud. Now we're going to want to locate Contacts and make sure that that toggle next to Contacts has been turned on. This ensures that your contacts stay consistent across your iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Here's an extra tip for seniors. If your contacts are turned on in multiple accounts, and you may want to do that, But if I have contacts turned on in Gmail and iCloud, this can also cause duplicates. Let me show you where you can find this info. So if I tap on the Settings app and I scroll to the very bottom, but make sure that you're on the main settings page. If I scroll to the very bottom and I tap on Apps, now I'm going to tap on the C on the right-hand side so I can quickly get to the Contacts app. Once I locate Contacts, I'll tap on it to open, and you'll see here Contacts Accounts. Tap on that, and if you have more than one account, check each one. As you can see, I have iCloud contacts turned on, but I have my Gmail contacts. I have mail turned on, but the contacts are stored in the cloud at Gmail, and I have those turned off. Here are a few easy habits that help keep contacts tidy. When you're adding a new contact number, try adding it to an existing account if possible so that you don't have duplicates. Let your iPhone merge duplicates instead of deleting manually. Review contacts every once in a while, even 5 minutes helps. Use iCloud so everything stays backed up and synced. Think of it like cleaning out a drawer. A little at a time is perfect. Here's a quick recap. Merge duplicate contacts, fix incorrect contact photos, check iCloud syncing, and keep things simple going forward. Once your contacts are clean, saving and sharing them becomes much easier. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you missed my previous video on saving and sharing contacts, I'll link it right in the video description below. Thanks so much.
Okay, comments, questions?
A concern. I did run into a duplicate, I believe, or a couple of duplicates, and I decided not to merge because I was afraid that those phone numbers or that information in one of those could be inaccurate or old.
Well, she didn't show for each contact. She didn't tap on it. She tapped on it, but it had a field she didn't show that would show what the duplicate information was. It had two names, and then it had something else. She should have tapped on that and said, well, what's the difference here? Is the phone number different or the email or whatever? When it merges it puts both, like it have two different emails, it puts them both into one contact. So it doesn't lose any information. I don't think that's the way it works.
Okay.
What about
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jen.
well, what about in notes? I have a lot of stuff I put in notes for people.
Notes doesn't have a duplicate cleaner.
Well, no, I think she's saying the notes part of the contact.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Well,
if
let's
you have
say
two different
that.
contacts with different notes.
I don't know. I don't know what it would do. It would probably merge both notes field into one, so you'd have everything from both into one. I don't think it throws anything away.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think it gets rid of anything.
It just puts it all into one.
Yeah, your contact may be a lot larger than it was, but you won't lose anything.
Well,
My experience.
When I went and did mine, I did one. Matter of fact, it did have duplicate phone numbers, and it either found out that it was duplicate and left it out, or something didn't happen because no duplicate phone numbers were in that contact. You know, the new one, I mean, the updated one.
I've lost notes content when I've merged.
Even if you did one at a time?
Yes.
Well, Well, I
It
would
took
suggest
the newer contact and threw out the information from the older one in the
Ah,
duplicate.
Hmm.
well, then you should
Also what she was demonstrating is not matching my iOS 26 on my phone. She was going through the menu so fast, it did not look on my phone like what she was showing.
well, you should, if you're worried about this, and you do it on the Mac is better because you can export your database out so you have a backup.
Her video was showing doing it on the phone. Her video was about the phone.
I understand that, but you said you're worried about losing notes. Well, if you're synced to the cloud, those same contacts are on your Mac. On your Mac, there's a command in the menu to save your current entire database out as a backup. So if something goes wrong, you can import it back in. Then you won't lose anything. Or look at the two contacts. Like she showed, okay, there was two duplicates for one name. Well, look at each one and see what's different.
That's what I've done in the
Save the
past.
two notes field, and then copy and paste them in later so you can reconcile it.
Yes, usually I manually edit my notes field and save it elsewhere.
So one thing you can
Where?
do on the bottom of your contacts, you scroll down, it shows you the number of contacts. If you look on your Mac and you're syncing, go to the same thing and see the number of contacts, see if they match. That's how you know that sometimes you'll see way more in one than the other. That means something's not right. You got Gmail on there, and so you doubled your contacts and they're not set to sync on both, or something's out of whack. You can also do the same search. The search for duplicates existed in contacts on the Mac way for a long time. Only recently has it appeared on the phone.
Another weirdness that has happened is Apple or Google or somebody was giving me a duplicate of a person's name and just their email address. It would make a new contact just for the name and the email address. So I would have two people. I mean, that would be easy to merge, I guess. But I don't know
Well,
why it was happening. I'm not sure it's still happening, but for a
remember
long
the
period of
first
time it
video
was.
we remember the first video we saw on exchanging contacts. You can choose not to make a whole contact out of it. You can add it. You have the option of adding it to another contact that exists. Remember the first
Oh,
video we
but
saw today?
I had nothing to do with it. It was automatically made a new contact just with an email address that I knew nothing about unless I
Yeah, but
looked
you
in
can.
contacts.
Okay, all right. Can we take down the splash screen?
Yep, that's the last thing. Anything else about these videos? We'll move on to general Q&A. I'll quit the share. Okay, we'll stop the share. And DVMUG members know the drill. You can find the Q&A recording on the BBS with the link there if not public. And we'll start a new recording.